30 banned films that almost destroyed old Hollywood likely refers to a list or article discussing movies that were banned or heavily censored during the early days of Hollywood due to their controversial content. These films face scrutiny for a variety of reasons, including violence, sexual content, political themes, or topics considered too risky or socially unacceptable at the time. Some of these films were not only banned, but also caused significant tension within the industry, challenging the standards and censorship practices of the period. Here are a few notable examples of films that were: The Birth of a Nation, 1915, directed by D. Griffith, is considered a landmark in cinematic history due to its innovative use of narrative techniques, such as cross-cutting and close-ups. However, the film is infamous for its overtly racist portrayal of African Americans and its glorification of the Ku Klux Klan. It tells a highly distorted version of the Civil War and Reconstruction era, presenting black people as dangerous, unintelligent, and threatening, while portraying the Klan as heroic figures. The film was met with widespread criticism and protests, particularly from civil rights groups, and was banned in several cities. Despite its technical achievements, its racial content sparked debates about the responsibilities of filmmakers in shaping societal views and led to stricter censorship and regulation of films in the following decades. The Birth of a Nation remains a controversial part of film history due to its impact on both cinema and race relations in America. Freaks, 1932, directed by Todd Browning, is a cult classic that faced significant controversy upon its release. The film centers on a group of sideshow performers, including people with physical deformities, and explores themes of exploitation, betrayal, and revenge. Its portrayal of real, disabled individuals was shocking to audiences at the time, as it blurred the lines between horror and reality. The film's unsettling content, including violence and its depiction of marginalized people, led to widespread bans and censorship in several countries. It was considered too disturbing and offensive, even for an era that had a tolerance for exploitation films. Freaks faced harsh criticism, and the backlash nearly ruined Browning's career. Over time, however, the film gained a cult following, being reevaluated for its daring approach to humanizing its characters and challenging societal norms around beauty, disability, and difference. The Sun Shines Bright, 1953, directed by John Ford, is a film that addresses racism and societal issues in the American South. Set in the early 20th century, it focuses on the challenges faced by a small town's black community and their interactions with the white townspeople. The film deals with themes of racial prejudice, segregation, and the complexities of human nature. While praised for its emotional depth and Ford's direction, it was considered too controversial for its time due to its honest portrayal of racial issues. The film faced censorship and was restricted in certain regions, as it challenged the prevailing racial attitudes of post-war America. Ford, known for his westerns, took a bold step in addressing such sensitive issues, making The Sun Shines Bright a significant, though often overlooked, film in the conversation about race and Hollywood's depiction of American society during the 1950s. Scarface, 1932, directed by Howard Hawks, is a seminal gangster film that caused significant controversy upon its release. The film, starring Paul Muni as a ruthless mob boss, depicted intense violence, drug use, and the rise of organized crime. It was groundbreaking in its portrayal of a gangster's ruthless pursuit of power, but also alarming to many due to its graphic content and portrayal of criminal behavior. The film was heavily censored and faced criticism from the Production Code Administration, which sought to limit depictions of violence and immoral actions. Scarface was banned in several locations and faced editing requirements that diminished its impact. Despite this, the film became iconic, influencing later gangster films and shifting Hollywood's approach to crime cinema. Over time, Scarface has been recognized as a classic, noted for its boldness and its portrayal of a morally ambiguous protagonist. The Maltese Falcon, 1941, directed by John Huston, is a cornerstone of film noir, but it faced significant censorship challenges before its release. Based on Dashiell Hammett's novel, the film follows private detective Sam Spade, played by Humphrey Bogart, as he navigates a web of crime, corruption, and deceit. Due to its dark themes, including murder, deception, and suggestive dialogue, the film ran into issues with the Production Code Administration, which sought to control content deemed immoral or inappropriate for audiences. Scenes were edited to comply with strict standards, particularly the depiction of the relationship between Spade and the female characters, which contained subtle sexual innuendos. Despite these edits, The Maltese Falcon became a major success, both critically and commercially, and is now regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. It exemplifies how filmmakers worked within censorship constraints to create lasting, impactful cinema. Lady Chatterley's Lover 1955, based on D. Lawrence's provocative novel, sparked significant controversy due to its explicit sexual content and themes of class struggle. The film, directed by Mark Allegret, follows the illicit affair between Constance Reed, a woman from the British upper class, and the gamekeeper, Oliver Mellers, challenging the strict boundaries of social class and morality. The explicit nature of their relationship, especially the focus on physical intimacy and the frank depiction of desire, led to the film being banned in several countries, including the U.S. At the time of its release, depictions of sexual relationships in films were highly restricted by censorship laws, particularly the production code. The novel itself had already been the subject of legal battles, with the 1960 U.S. court case Lady Chatterley's Lover ruling that the book was not obscene. Despite the controversy, both the film and novel eventually gained recognition for their role in advancing discussions about sexuality and class in literature and cinema. The Wild One, 1953, starring Marlon Brando, was a groundbreaking film that stirred controversy upon its release. Directed by Laszlo Benedek, it tells the story of a rebellious biker gang led by Johnny Strabler, Brando, as they cause chaos in a small town. The film became infamous for its portrayal of youth rebellion, defiance against authority, and the sense of alienation felt by post-war teenagers. Brando's iconic portrayal of Strabler, with his trademark leather jacket and detached attitude, embodied the essence of 1950s youth disillusionment. The film's depiction of violence, lawlessness, and the subversion of traditional values led to it being banned in some regions. Critics feared it glorified delinquency and contributed to the growing tension between generations. Despite this, The Wild One became a cult classic, influencing future counterculture films and solidifying Brando's status as a cultural icon. It remains a significant exploration of youth defiance in cinema history. The Wild One, 1953, starring Marlon Brando, was a groundbreaking film that stirred controversy upon its release. Directed by Laszlo Benedek, it tells the story of a rebellious biker gang led by Johnny Strabler, Brando, as they cause chaos in a small town. The film became infamous for its portrayal of youth rebellion, defiance against authority, and the sense of alienation felt by post-war teenagers. Brando's iconic portrayal of Strabler, with his trademark leather jacket and detached attitude, embodied the essence of 1950s youth disillusionment. The film's depiction of violence, lawlessness, and the subversion of traditional values led to it being banned in some regions. Critics feared it glorified delinquency and contributed to the growing tension between generations. Despite this, The Wild One became a cult classic, influencing future counterculture films and solidifying Brando's status as a cultural icon. It remains a significant exploration of youth defiance in cinema history. A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951, directed by Elia Kazan and based on Tennessee Williams' iconic play, sparked significant controversy due to its handling of sensitive topics such as sexual violence, mental illness, and class struggles. The film stars Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski and Vivian Leigh as Blanche DuBois, with their turbulent, often violent relationship at the center. The depiction of Blanche's mental deterioration and her traumatic past, including sexual abuse, was deemed too provocative for the time. The Production Code Administration, PCA, required numerous edits to tone down the more explicit aspects, such as altering some of the dialogue and scenes of implied sexual violence. Despite these cuts, the film still created a stir for its bold portrayal of raw human emotions and societal issues. While controversial, A Streetcar Named Desire went on to become a cinematic classic, praised for its powerful performances, especially Brando's, and its deep exploration of human frailty. A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951, directed by Elia Kazan and based on Tennessee Williams' iconic play, sparked significant controversy due to its handling of sensitive topics such as sexual violence, mental illness, and class struggles. The film stars Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski and Vivian Leigh as Blanche DuBois, with their turbulent, often violent relationship at the center. The depiction of Blanche's mental deterioration and her traumatic past, including sexual abuse, was deemed too provocative for the time. The Production Code Administration, PCA, required numerous edits to tone down the more explicit aspects, such as altering some of the dialogue and scenes of implied sexual violence. Despite these cuts, the film still created a stir for its bold portrayal of raw human emotions and societal issues. While controversial, A Streetcar Named Desire went on to become a cinematic classic, praised for its powerful performances, especially Brando's, and its deep exploration of human frailty. The Devils, 1971, directed by Ken Russell, is a controversial historical drama based on the events of the 17th century Loudun possessions, where a group of nuns allegedly became possessed and were subject to exorcism. The film combines religious themes with explicit sexual imagery, depicting the nuns' eroticized visions of religious figures and the brutal power dynamics between church and state. Russell's approach, blending graphic sexuality with depictions of torture and religious fanaticism, caused immediate uproar. The film was deemed blasphemous and highly provocative, leading to widespread censorship. It faced bans in several countries, including the UK and the United States, due to its explicit content and perceived challenge to religious authority. Despite its controversial reception, The Devils has been recognized for its boldness, with some critics viewing it as a scathing critique of religious institutions and their abuses of power. Over time, the film gained a cult following, regarded as a masterpiece of bold cinema. Salo, or The 120 Days of Sodom, 1975, directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini, is infamous for its shocking and graphic content, depicting extreme violence, sadism, and exploitation. Inspired by the writings of Marquis de Sade, the film follows a group of powerful men who abduct a group of teenagers and subject them to brutal physical and psychological torture over the course of 120 days. The film explores themes of dehumanization, totalitarianism, and the corrupting influence of power. Salo is notorious for its graphic depictions of sexual abuse, mutilation, and degradation, making it one of the most controversial films in cinema history. Upon its release, it was banned in several countries and faced heavy censorship due to its disturbing nature. Critics and audiences were divided, with some viewing it as a scathing critique of fascism and the exploitation of the powerless, while others found its content far too provocative and disturbing. The film remains a powerful, albeit controversial, work of art. Natural Born Killers, 1994, directed by Oliver Stone, is a controversial satirical crime film that critiques the media's sensationalization of violence. The film follows Mickey and Mallory Knox, two young lovers on a killing spree, while the media turns them into celebrities. With its chaotic visual style, intense violence, and dark humor, Natural Born Killers received mixed reactions from both critics and audiences. Many accused the film of glorifying violence and blamed it for promoting copycat crimes, leading to significant public outcry. The film's portrayal of the media's role in sensationalizing violence was seen as a scathing critique, but it also sparked debates about its potential to influence real-world behavior. As a result, it faced censorship in various countries and was banned in several places. Despite this, Natural Born Killers has since gained a cult following and is regarded as an influential work in exploring the relationship between media, violence, and societal decay. Pink Flamingos, 1972, directed by John Waters, is a groundbreaking cult film that pushed the boundaries of taste and decency, becoming a landmark in transgressive cinema. Starring Divine as the infamous Divine, the film is known for its extreme shock value, deliberately obscene humor, and exploration of taboo subjects like incest, bestiality, and shocking visual gags. The film's grotesque and offensive content, including the notorious scene involving dog feces, led to its ban in several countries, while mainstream critics and audiences condemned it. Despite the outrage, Pink Flamingos gained a loyal following within the underground film scene, celebrated for its unapologetic challenge to societal norms and its subversive attitude toward mainstream culture. Waters' subversion of conventional filmmaking and the portrayal of unconventional characters made the film a cornerstone of counterculture cinema. Today, Pink Flamingos is revered for its rebellious spirit, influencing future generations of filmmakers and remaining an iconic example of outsider art. Last Tango in Paris, 1972, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, is a highly controversial erotic drama that stirred intense debate upon its release. Starring Marlon Brando and Maria Schneider, The film explores a passionate and complex relationship between a grieving widower and a young woman. The movie became infamous for its explicit sexual content, including a graphic scene involving Brando's character and Schneider's character, which sparked outrage. The film was banned or heavily censored in several countries for its raw depiction of sexuality and power dynamics. The rape scene, in particular, was criticized for its perceived exploitation of Schneider, who later revealed that she had not been fully informed about the scene's details. Despite the controversy, Last Tango in Paris was lauded for its boldness and Brando's powerful performance. Over time, the film has been re-evaluated, though it remains divisive, as critics continue to debate its artistic merits versus its troubling ethical implications. While these films weren't necessarily a direct cause of the downfall of Hollywood, they did shake the industry by pushing boundaries, challenging societal norms, or stirring moral panic, all of which had a profound effect on the industry's approach to film censorship, ratings, and the code that governed much of what was allowed on screen during the era of old Hollywood.